there and welcome. You're about to watch a Lakehead International live webinar. It is a great way to explore what Lakehead University is all about. In this session, you'll hear insights and stories from Lakehead professors, staff, and current students. While watching, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. For now, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Discover Faculty of Education session at Lakehead University. I'm Hardika Narankar, part of the Lakehead International team, and I work as the International New and Social Media Officer. It's very wonderful to have a lot of you guys with us today, whether you're just beginning to explore your university options or you have already added Lakehead to your shortlist. So wherever you are in this journey, this session is going to give you a clear picture of what it's like to have a study education at Lakehead. So over the next little while, we'll be exploring a lot of things, everything that makes our Faculty of Education a leader in preparing for future teachers, from our undergraduate and graduate programs to hands-on classroom experience, as well as pathways to become a certified teacher. So let's begin. So the agenda for today is pretty simple. We'll be giving you a Faculty of Education overview, and then my lovely colleague Jordan will be having a lot of conversations with a lot of guests that we have planned. And yeah, we'll be talking more about that. So let's begin with an overview of Lakehead University. So we are a public institution located in Ontario, Canada, with 3 unique locations, which is Thunder Bay, Aurelia, and also we have a specialized STEM hub in Barrie. But Lakehead is more than just about geography, it's about community. What sets us apart is the strong sense of connection that you'll find here. So life at Lakehead goes beyond lecture rooms and note-taking. It's also about engaging with your professors, your peers, collaborating with your classmates, and also becoming a part of an inclusive environment, both on and off campus. One of our unique features is our commitment to undergraduate research. So unlike many universities where research upon opportunities come on a later stage or on the later years or even after graduate studies, during graduate studies, but Lakehead students can get involved as early as their first year. So this hands-on experience gives you a real head start. Now, when it comes to recognition, the numbers speak for themselves. So we are ranked in the top 3 in Canada for research in our category. Times Higher Education has named us the #1 university in North America among schools with fewer than 10,000 students. And also, we consistently place in the Maclean's top 5 universities in our category across Canada. So while we may be considered a smaller university, our research results and outputs and also student success are anything but small. Another aspect students appreciate is our class sizes. So instead of being just another face in a big lecture hall, you'll be benefiting from a more personalized learning environment. Our student to faculty ratio is 15:1 in Thunder Bay campus and 13:1 in Aurelia. So giving you a greater access to your professors and a chance to build meaningful academic relationships. We also take pride in our diverse community with students from over 90 countries, wherein you'll be learning alongside peers who bring a wide range of global perspectives, also adding on to your educational experience. And last but not the least, when it comes to life after graduation, Lakehead students are very well prepared. In fact, 96.2% of our graduates are employed within 2 years, surpassing the Ontario average of around 94.1%. So it's a strong indication that our students leave confident and also are capable after graduation. So why do you think Canada attracts so many international students? Well, there are quite a few reasons to begin with. Canada is recognized as one of the most top 10 greenest countries in the world and also offering an incredible quality of life and clean, sustainable environment. It's also ranked among the top 14 most peaceful nations globally, which means students can feel safe, supported, and also truly welcome no matter where they come from. Canada is also consistently recognized as one of the best countries to live in, known for its high quality of life, safety, and peaceful atmosphere. It's also one of the most inclusive places in the entire world. In fact, Canada was the first country to officially adopt multiculturalism, which helps explain why nearly 1 million international students have chosen to make it their home. Now let's talk about something that's on a lot of students' minds, which is work opportunities and what comes next after graduation. While you're studying, you can work up to 24 hours a week during the semester, and it's also an excellent way to manage expenses, gain any kind of Canadian work experience, and also start building your professional network. And also, after graduation, every Lakehead program qualifies you for a post-graduation work permit, which can give you up to 3 years of open work experience in Canada. And long term, earning a Canadian degree gives you extra points for your Canadian university degree when applying for permanent residency. Now, talking about the Faculty of Education. Now, at the undergraduate level, we offer two main pathways to becoming a certified teacher in Ontario, which is concurrent education and consecutive education. In our concurrent education route, students work towards both an undergraduate degree, such as an honors bachelor's of arts or science and a bachelor's of education at the same time. So it's a combined program that allows you to graduate with both degrees in about 6 years. Meanwhile, consecutive education is a 2 year professional program designed for students who have already completed a university degree, so either here at Lakehead or elsewhere around the world, and are now ready to focus on teacher education. Now, one of the biggest trends of our programs is the amount of hands-on experience you get. Students in the professional education program complete over 105 days of in-class placement. So we partner with local school boards and also community organizations, so you can apply what you're learning in real classrooms and also build confidence before graduation. So this face-to-face experience is key, and it also helps you to transition smoothly from student to teacher. So let's take a quick look at some of the key highlights of our undergraduate programs, education programs here at Lakehead. First, we offer both concurrent and consecutive education options, giving you the flexibility in how you become a certified teacher in Ontario. So whether you're starting fresh and also want to earn both your undergraduate and education degrees together, or you have completed a degree and are ready for the professional program, there's a path that fits for you. We also offer accelerated program options. So if you're eager to get started on your teaching career sooner, then you can finish both degrees in as little as 5 years. And finally, you'll also have the opportunity to qualify to teach at either the primary junior level or the kindergarten to grade 6, or the intermediate senior level, which is grade 7 to 12. This means that you can tailor your program to the age group and subjects that you're most passionate about. It is also a well-rounded, practical, and flexible program designed to set you up for success from day one as an educator. Moving on. Now, when it comes to teacher education at Lakehead, you will choose the level that fits your interest best. It could be either primary slash junior or intermediate slash senior. So for those who are who want to pursue primary slash junior, you'll be preparing to teach elementary school children's from kindergarten to grade 6. At this level, teachers are trained to teach all subjects, everything from math to science to language and the arts. So your courses are going to be based on the Ontario Ministry of Education curriculum, which means you will graduate ready to teach in any Ontario elementary classroom. And there is no specific teachable subject required at this level. So it's really about developing a well-rounded teaching skills across multiple areas. Now, for the intermediate senior level, the focus shifts to teaching to grades 7 to 12. So you'll specialize a bit more. So students in this stream select two teachable subjects. For example, it could be anything like English,
and history, or it could be math and biology, or science, biology and science physics. So at least you'll need at least 5 full credit equivalents, which is FCEs, in your first teachables and 3 FCEs in your second, and at least 1.5 uh, FCE in each must be completed at the third or fourth year level. So this structure ensures that by the time you begin teaching, you have a real depth in the subjects that you're really passionate about. Now, let's move on to our graduate programs. So at the master's level, we offer 2 distinct programs, which is Master of Education, which is Education for Change, and Master of Education, Educational Studies. So, and for those pursuing research at the highest level, we also offer a joint PhD in Educational Studies. Now, let's take a closer look at Education for Change. This program is all about using education as a tool to create meaningful social and environmental impact. You can choose from 3 specializations. You can choose from 3 specializations, which is environmental and sustainability education, indigenous education, and also social justice education. So each of these focuses on building critical perspectives, research, and practices that's going to help you address today's challenges in education and society. Now, this specialization explores how education can contribute to a more sustainable world. So you study topics like climate change pedagogy, eco-pedagogy, environmental justice, food and humane education, and also outdoor and place-based learning. So it's designed for educators who want to help shape students' understanding of environmental responsibility and sustainability. For the Indigenous education specialization, it is more rooted in Indigenous histories, philosophies, and also knowledge systems. So students explore Indigenous approaches to well-being, language revitalization, and the politics of colonization and decolonization. So this stream emphasizes respect for Indigenous research protocols and also relationships with the land. It's both intellectually rigorous and also deeply community connected. The next program is the social justice education, which focuses on the theories and practices that challenges systems on inequality in education and society. So it includes approaches such as anti-racist education, inclusive education, feminist pedagogy, queer pedagogy, and more. So students learn to analyze and address the social forces that shape educational experiences for the marginalized communities. Now, our second master's program, which is educational studies, offers a broader view of the education field. It looks at learning within formal, informal, and non-formal contexts. So, combining theory and research across areas like sociology and psychology of education, law and policy, curriculum, leadership, and assessment. You'll also find content areas like math, science, language, arts, and social studies. So there's room to align with your personal and professional interests. Now, students in educational studies can choose to specialize in gerontology, which is focusing on aging, intergenerational learning, and also collaboration with other academic disciplines, or gender and women's studies, which examines gender as a category of analysis and also exposes its role in teaching, learning, and also research. Both options are interdisciplinary and available within educational studies and education for change, giving students plenty of room to tailor their studies. Now, that gives us a full overview of what's offered within the Faculty of Education. Next, my colleague Jordan Ball will sit down with some guests from the program and from the faculty to share their experiences and insights about studying and teaching in education at Lakehead.
And it is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome and introduce the Dean of our Faculty of Education here at Lakehead University, Dr. Melville. I will pass it over to him to introduce himself and share a bit more about his history with Lakehead, as well as just scratching the surface as to what he's passionate about in terms of education and research.
So thank you, Jordan, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So as Jordan said, my name is Wayne Melville. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Education and have been since 2019. And basically the role of the Dean is to look after the delivery of the programs that we offer at both the graduate and undergraduate level, and also and attached to that is overseeing the research which happens across the faculty. And then probably more importantly in some ways is to actually look after people across the faculty as well, be they students, staff members, our contract lecturers, and our full-time faculty members. So as I said, I've been in this job 5.5 years, but before that, I actually moved to Thunder Bay, where one of our campuses is, in 2005 to take up a role in science education, because right from my undergraduate degree in science, in botany and geography, I've really pursued that interest in science through a Master of Science degree and then a PhD in science education, because I worked for 17 or so years in high schools in Australia teaching science, math, and a few other various subjects as well. In terms of my research interests, when I'm not playing the role of dean, then I work with local science teachers and science teachers across North America, really looking at how we can improve the work of those folks in terms of actually engaging more students with science, and then from that, building more interest in STEM-based careers and the role of science in society. And so that has led me to lots of collaborations with some really interesting people, and worked with folks within schools, published 4 books, around 60 research articles, numerous conference presentations, and also spent 5 years as the co-editor-in-chief of the Journal of Science Teacher Education, which is a very fine journal, if I don't say so myself.
Awesome.
So Jordan, that's where I've come from.
Well, that's certainly interesting. I didn't realize how long you were in the classroom yourself, but I think that probably serves an important role in terms of recognizing where our students within the Faculty of Education need to go in terms of preparing, if they're on the undergraduate side and hoping to become a teacher themselves one day, or if they're on the grad side, enhancing their current skills within that education and delivery of education, as well as we know a big part of it is education for change and social justice policy. There's a wide range of topics, specializations our students can pursue in your faculty. I will dive into that later on in our presentation. But while we have you, Wayne, I'm curious if you could elaborate even further on that that research that you've partaken in. Perhaps looking back at your rich history of academia, is there any moments that stand out as being very impactful and helping you see that path forward?
I think the main thing is coming to recognize that, one, the teaching is a profession, but then through my earlier research, understanding what it is that a profession actually does. And a profession is all about helping people, sharing specific knowledge with people, and helping people develop the set of virtues or ethics in order to see themselves as helping other people. And so it's all about, if you want to use cliches, being caring and sharing. And so that actually has driven a lot of the work which we've been doing in the faculty in my time as dean as well. So yeah, I think that would be the main point. And of course, keeping in contact with folks in schools and school boards keeps me grounded as to what the needs of students are now, which are actually very different from when I started teaching back in the late 1980s. So I've just dated myself.
That's okay. Obviously, you mentioned yourself that you've been the dean for 5.5 years. I'm curious to know, and I'm sure the audience is excited to learn, if they join Lakehead in the future, what is your vision for the faculty? What can they anticipate or expect?
Good question. We've actually been spending the last 5 years both outlining what our values are, and then also, more importantly, putting those values into practice. And so we know that education is a human endeavor, and therefore if we want the best out of education, then one, we need to engage with everybody that we come in contact with, be they within the faculty, across the university, or with the various folks that we work with, both schools, school boards, and increasingly Indigenous communities, both in Northwest Ontario and also in Simcoe County, where our Aurelia campus is based. And we need to uphold human dignity, because we know that if people are given the supports and the help they need to live lives which they value, then that promotes teaching and learning and research for the common good. And so it's one thing to extol these virtues, but it's another thing entirely to put them into practice. And so we've been working hard on doing that, which also happens to align with the academic and strategic plans which the university itself has.
Great. That's exciting to hear, of course, refocusing and ensuring that the core values of what you deliver day in and day out is what we see in our students. And I'm sure to our audience, if any of those words or if any of those thoughts really resonate with you, I would encourage you to explore more and consider this profession. It's quite amazing. If you had a minute or less, Wayne, to share with the audience about why Lakehead, what would you have to say to them?
A minute or less. Now, remember, Jordan, you're talking to an academic, so anything quickly. But as I just said, over the last 5 years, the faculty has been working really hard to be a place that promotes human dignity and a more holistic view of education, but education for the common good. It's probably needed more now than ever before. So a couple of things stand out that we've been doing. We've been working very closely with Indigenous communities to develop initial teacher education and language programs. And in that work, we've been really quite focused on working with communities in order to promote solutions to the particular issues which they have, and in order to help them move forward with the goals and aspirations which they have, and also address the Truth and Reconciliation's calls to action, because that is an important part of our work. We've also been working with school boards and teacher organisations to develop the teaching profession as a continuum from people entering initial teacher education programs. And with our Bachelor of Education program, we also have the new Diploma and Bachelor of Technology Education, which has been up and running for the last 2 years. Develop it so that people understand that they are coming into a profession, and how do we support them with the skills and attitudes and knowledge to be successful, to make the transition into the profession, and then continue to grow and develop as a teacher, hopefully for a long and fruitful career, which benefits their students as well. And of course, all our programs are accredited by the Ontario College of Teachers, which ensures their quality. We also have a vibrant graduate program at both the master's and PhD level. And so those folks have the chance to work with researchers who are at the cutting edge of fields like climate change education, language and math education, Indigenous education, and Indigenous language education as well as many other fields. But you said I've only got 60 seconds. We've also got a vibrant international student population as well. And so we've been putting in place a lot of work and supports for those folks, because we know that international students face a range of challenges, from homesickness to changes in the academic context they're working in, and of course the cultural supports, which are really quite important to recognise and honour where people are coming from. And finally, and I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to come back to it, we've been working on an ethos at both our campuses of caring for people. And so at both the undergraduate and graduate level, we have very vibrant student associations. They participate in the decision-making of the faculty, and we're constantly working to make sure that everyone is supported in their work, be it in an office, in a classroom, out on placement, or in people's work with our many partners. So yeah, I think I might have gone over my 60 seconds, but there we go.
That's okay. I appreciate the feedback, and I'm sure the audience is excited to hear about what they can anticipate. Of course, in the next section, I'll be overviewing the entire faculty, some of those programs, as well as the unique learning opportunities. Beyond that, though, we also are looking forward to sit down with a current student who actually is a part of a student association, the Graduate Student Association, Sakshi, and then following her conversation, I will be inviting some researchers to share more about what their impacts are in research at Lakehead. So thank you again, Dr. Melville, for your time. We appreciate it. With that, we'll wrap it up, and thanks again.
Thank you, Jordan. And yeah, come and pay us a visit at some point.
Great. Thank you again to our special guest, Sakshi, who is a current student in the Masters of Education program. I'll introduce her, and I'll pass it over to her to introduce herself, actually.
Hello everyone, my name is Sakshi and I am from India. I am pursuing Masters of Education from Lakehead University and this is a thesis route. I started my study in May 2024.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for taking the time to join us and share more about your experience in the program thus far. I know you've only joined within the last 6 months, but given that you're doing that thesis route, I would like to learn more, and perhaps you could share with the audience, have you determined what your topic is going to be and what that studies looks like?
Yeah, so my topic I have already chosen, that is quantitative exploration of phonics instructions in early childhood education. I chose this one because I am a mother of 7 years old girl, and when she started, learning about the phonics, I also developed the interest of this, especially in this area, and then I started working on that, and that's why I chosen this um, topic.
Awesome. I'm curious, who is your supervisor for that topic right now?
Dr. Tanya Kafer.
Could you share with the audience a bit more about what that working relationship is like and what her role is in terms of making sure that you're on the right track to success?
Yeah. So first of all, Dr. Tanya Kafer, she's the best supervisor, I would say. She is very supportive. So whenever I need anything from her or any support from her, I just send any email to her and she quickly reply me. Like within 5 to 10 minutes, she reply. So that is the best thing. Also, in terms of like research proposal and everything, whenever I ask any question about anything, she always replies. Also, right now I'm doing one course with her, that is directed studies, where we always meet on Zoom, where we discuss about the studies or about the readings. She always give me some kind of ideas about the research and everything, and she always tell me about the goals of these things, and the curriculum she designed for me, that is the perfect one, I would say, because she started from the beginning and then one by one we are going in deep. So she has given me the quantitative papers, qualitative papers, and then mixed approach papers. So she has given me the everything step by step so that nothing will be burden on me, but I learned a lot from her.
That's great to hear. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's exciting that she's providing you with the tools to a successful path forward in terms of that directed studies. Of course, that's one of many courses you've already had an opportunity to take. Could you share with the audience a bit more about some of the other impactful courses you've had already?
Yes, because when I came here from India, I didn't know anything about the academic writing and I was not aware about anything. Like I started from zero, I would say. So I took a course over here that is Foundational of Graduate Study in Education. That was my first class where I learned about APA format, where I learned about academic writing. So, as an international student, I was not aware about these things. Maybe for Canadian students, that is a normal thing, but for international students, it's hard. So here, everybody was struggling, but yes, I learned a lot, many things over here, and then I took other courses. Every course was good, and then I took research in education for change, which again, gave me the route or the pathway, especially, it gave me a way to reach to my destination. That is my thesis proposal. So here I learned about the critique, how to write a critique of a paper. Here I learned about literature mapping, then literature review. For me, it was like, oh, I need to write a literature review, but I didn't know anything about literature review. I didn't know what is literature review. So now I know everything because of these courses, because in research and education for change, I learned about everything step by step, like how to design a research question, then how to do how to find a gap in studies, and then how to critique a paper, and then how to write the literature review and everything. Yeah.
That sounds like they've set you up for success in terms of next steps in the program. Of course, number one is academics, but I'm also curious outside of Faculty of Education and your studies, how do you get involved in student life?
In student life, I always talk to everyone and listen to them to know about their perspective. Also, I am the president of LUGSA, that is the Graduate Student Association of Lakehead University, and here I am, doing. I am involved in many projects where we are talking about international students, where we are talking about the students. Health and wealth things, and where the students are struggling, where we can help them as they should have a support over here. So we are working on many projects so far, and I hope these will be very helpful for the students, or I would say upcoming students.
Great. I'm sure our audience is excited to see that they have a powerful voice behind them and supporting and advocating for them. Thank you
Yeah.
again for taking the time to join us and share more about your experience in the Faculty of Education and more specifically, Masters of Education. With that being said, next we're going to actually meet with one of our professors and a current researcher in the faculty. So we'll meet you over there.
Okay, you are welcome. Thank you so much for joining me as well. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce and welcome Dr. Mastrangelo, who is a faculty member within our education faculty here at Lakehead University. I'll pass it over to her to introduce herself and share a bit more about her role at Lakehead and what she does, and then we'll dive a bit more into her research and perhaps how you can get involved one day.
Thank you very much, Jordan, and a special thanks to all of you for joining. My name is Dr. Sonia Mastrangelo. I've been a faculty member at Lakehead University's Faculty of Education for 16 years. Time is certainly flying by. I'm currently holding two roles. I'm assistant dean for both campuses, working on special projects, and I'm also an associate professor. My areas of research have been in critical disability, special and inclusive education, mental health, self-regulation, and developmentally appropriate practice.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. I know you wear many hats at Lakehead, so I'm appreciative for the time you've taken out in your day to share more about what research you've been involved in over the past few years. So perhaps you can take a moment to share with the audience what that looks like in terms of your portfolio right now.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to discuss the projects. I did forget to mention that I'm currently holding an appointment as Director of Research for the Applied Self-Regulation Knowledge Network. This is a volunteer position. I oversee all research related to self-regulation that is connected to the Merit Center in Ontario. And basically that work involves coalescing information about self-regulation, engaging in studies related to self-regulation, which is really the ability to remain calmly focused and alert during times of stress. And so that leads me to discussing probably my most exciting project, and the one that's been most meaningful for me is looking at stress in post-secondary students through the funding of a Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council grant, a Partnership Engage grant. Lakehead University, with me as the lead investigator, is joining forces with the Merit Center and the Ask Network to measure stress in post-secondary students. I've just completed a 5-part module examining stress and coping strategies across 5 domains: the social, emotional, pro-social, cognitive, and biological. And in these modules, Jordan, we really work at teaching students to identify the stressors that they're encountering and then how they can circumvent some of those biological effects of stress on the body. And so we've just launched our pilot. I'm working with a couple of graduate students on this project, and then we will measure their stress levels using the PSSI, which stands for the Post-Secondary Stressors Index. So that's one of my projects. I've been quite passionate about self-regulation. There have been several graduate students that I've mentored in this field, and one in particular is an international student, and we've just completed a book chapter with her and several conference papers. So I'm a really big believer in mentoring graduate students and undergraduate students to become involved in all aspects of research, from research travel, collecting data, helping to analyze findings, and then participating in the follow-up publications. I've just completed 2 articles with one of my year 1 PhD students. He has worked quite diligently in this field in self-regulation, so I'm pleased to share that 2 of our pieces have just been accepted for publication. So when I think of research, it really is about informing practice, but I also see the reverse happening. Practice informs research. There are times we're in the field in classrooms and we see some of the challenges, Jordan, and we think, this would be a potential research study. So then we go to the drawing board with a group of students and other faculty members, and we design a research question with actionable items, research objectives, a timeline, a budget, and then we try to find the grants that are best suited for that particular project. I've been quite fortunate in that I've held, 7 or 8 funded projects now. There are a few that I'm wrapping up, but one of the other ones that has been meaningful for me has been working on reserves in the North. I've just wrapped up a project in Mishki-Gogumag First Nation, looking at mental health in young students, K to 8. And my colleague, Dr. Lovell Johnston, has looked at the literacy levels and how mental health impacts literacy. So we're just wrapping up that project with a documentary and a website. And we have an upcoming publication about that work in an international journal that's hosted out of California. So we're quite excited about that. And for that project, we were able to recruit undergraduate education students to actually come to the reserve and do some preliminary work. And then this past year, we had a group of, I believe it was 5 master's students in the education program who had the experience of coming up to Mishki-Gogumag, spending time in the school with teachers in classrooms, and working directly with students.
That's very exciting to hear how involved you've been in a very large portfolio and diverse portfolio of research projects while sticking to your core values or your aspirations with self-regulation. Of course, coming back to the idea of getting students involved and having them help support that work, I know most researchers would be the first people to note this or mention that they couldn't do it alone. They couldn't pursue some of the projects that they take on. They can be really large in scale, but effective when they also have different perspectives or lenses from a wide range of students. So to our audience, I'm sure they're scratching right now to learn more about how they may get involved if they choose to study at Lakehead. Could you share with them what that looks like or what they can anticipate when they arrive?
Absolutely. I would encourage students to always look at the roster of faculty members and their specific discipline and research areas, and then to directly approach faculty and ask, are there any funded projects that you're carrying right now? Is there an opportunity for me to engage in a research assistantship? And those could range, Jordan, from 5 hours a week up to 15 to 20, depending on the size of the project. And some students will request, I do want to be involved in the travel. Others want to work on literature reviews and data analysis. It really is dependent on the student. Oftentimes, we have a position board through Rosa Fabiano, our administrative assistant. Research positions also get posted through that website. So I would encourage incoming students to revisit that particular blog post where all the updated information can be found. But I always say the best approach is to go to the source directly, set up a meeting time with a faculty member to talk about funded research and the possible synergies and opportunities to become involved.
Great. Yeah, I always reiterate and remind our viewers that we're quite fortunate to be pursuing incredible research projects, but in a smaller campus community where it's less intimidating and it feels more natural, or it feels a little more welcoming to be able to approach faculty, whether you've had them as an instructor in one of your courses and you've had that opportunity to showcase that you're a dedicated academic, that you're successful in your coursework, or perhaps you've never worked with them in the past, even going to your professor to say, hey, do you have a professional relationship with this researcher? I really love the project they're working on, and I want to find some synergies between my work and their work. I think those opportunities are more vast at a smaller school in this sense. So thank you for scratching the surface of what you've done here at Lakehead so far. I know you have many years to go, and I know that you're helping bring up and uplift the future generation of researchers within education. So we're appreciative for your time. On that note, we're gonna switch gears here and actually introduce another researcher who's within your own faculty. So thank you, Dr. Mastrangelo.
Thank you.
And with that, I would like to welcome and introduce Dr. Pluim, who is a faculty member within education here at Lakehead University. I'll pass over to him to say hello to the audience, introduce himself, share a bit more about what classes he helps deliver, and perhaps we'll hear maybe what his favorite class is.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Gary Pluim. I'm an assistant professor in the Faculty of Education in Aurelia. I have been here for about 10 years at Lakehead, and my areas of interest are social foundations of education, intercultural education, critical global citizenship education. And so I teach courses in the social and global spheres, such as social studies, global citizenship education, democracy in education, introduction to education. One of my favorite courses is probably a course called Place-Based Education in Huronia, and it's an intensive 2-week traveling course in which we canoe, bike, and hike through our region to understand the nuances of the politics and the culture and the histories and the lands in our region, which I think is important for all educators in a given area.
That sounds very exciting. I'm envious that students in Aurelia get to participate in such an experiential opportunity where, they get to apply their knowledge from the classroom, but also then go out into the great outdoors. And we're quite fortunate with our locations in Thunder Bay, as well as Aurelia, to access those outdoors right at the doorstep, essentially. So with that being said, I mean, you scratch the surface, of course, of as to which research areas or which passions you have within the very broad field of education, but perhaps you can share with the audience a bit more about what projects you've been involved in the past.
Sure. I'll give you sort of a broad scope of where my research interests lie. My central focus is around youth and youth voice, youth experiences, youth perspectives in education. So young people are often told that youth are the future, but these same young people are growing up in a very complicated, precarious global environment that they didn't create, nor did they ask for. So I feel their voices are essential to address the complex problems that older generations have been unable to solve. Many of my projects bring young people together from different parts of the world to examine how global trends affect their local realities. So, for example, how youth are impacted by the culture and politics of their own regions, how interconnections between global and local citizenship might differ in various contexts, and how teaching and learning of global issues should respond to local variations. A few of my projects are funded by the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada. One of my main projects involves a partnership with the Commonwealth of Learning, in which we investigate the nuances of education transfer. So that is to say, whether and how curriculum for youth and youth workers should be shared between small countries of the Commonwealth. So in this work, we work in partnership with the University of the Pacific in Fiji, the Botswana Open University, the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute. I'm involved with another project through a partnership with Addis Ababa University, in which students from Ethiopia meet and dialogue with students here at Lakehead University and students from the University of Toronto about what critical global citizenship education could look like in each of our respective local environments. And my other research projects also involve young people's perspectives in education. So these range from young people's perspectives on technology and AI, to teacher education, to place-based education, and to garden-based learning. So that gives you sort of a broad view of the research projects I'm involved with and where I hope to go with my research too.
That's very exciting and interesting to hear. I know, obviously, given that we're speaking directly to an international audience today, and hearing that you're partnered with the Commonwealth to share some of those learning modules and more material with smaller countries is certainly very exciting to hear. I'm sure students are probably curious on today's webinar, how could they get involved, and not necessarily particularly in the research you've just mentioned, but how do you build in research and how do you help facilitate student research in your role?
Yeah, so first of all, many undergraduate, master's, and PhD students at Lakehead have been involved with these projects, which has connected them with other young people around the world. So they've visited partner countries with me. They've worked alongside academics at post-secondary institutions in places like Fiji, Botswana, Ethiopia, the Bahamas, Guyana, and Malta. So we've had some really nice connections there, and especially through technology like Zoom, like we're doing right now, particularly since COVID. Many students also come to me with their own research projects that are related to my areas of interest and the types of things that they know I work on. So particularly projects that examine intersections between education and society, and especially in intercultural contexts. Yeah, with students, I really enjoy organizing student panels at conferences. So for example, at the Lakehead Research and Innovation Week, bringing students together for that. Other panels at conferences and annual meetings in Canada, like for example, the Canadian Society for Studies in Education, or organizing students to come together to showcase their research at the Comparative and International Education Society. So these are different ways that I'll support students. And when I see students in some of my courses who are particularly enamored by some of the topics in my courses, I'll often reach out to them and invite them to consider carrying on at Lakehead in a graduate degree, for example, a master's, or maybe continuing on to a PhD. And we'll talk about ways that I might be able to support them in those capacities.
That's certainly exciting. I know we always encourage students to understand our professors' research areas or their passions within their field of study to make sure that they're well suited to be a supervisor down the road, especially in the case where, like you mentioned, not that you have niche research areas, but you're excited about those areas, as you should be. And so to be able to support somebody and hopefully help facilitate their own thesis production, it's important that you're going to be well suited to support them. I think the final question I have for you today, and I'm sure the audience is curious as well, what do you view as the most important aspects of your research, or what are your anticipated outcomes or desires with it?
Yeah, I think this research is very important, especially in thinking about the role of youth voice in global matters, because young people often aren't given a seat at decision making or policy tables. I think it's important that young people learn about social structures, democratic participation, and ways that they can participate in shaping society. And I think that global issues are inherently youth issues. And so research that elevates the voices and perspective of youth are important. I expect in my research that we'll find many nuances and differences in the ways that local realities are play out differently based on global phenomena. So globalization really is about this increasing connectedness amongst people on the planet, but we know it doesn't happen in a balanced or even way. So we can think about things like consumption, migration, climate crisis, technology, and so on. And so knowing and understanding these complexities, and especially how they affect youth, can illuminate and deepen our understanding about the relationships that we have across the planet and the role that youth play in it.
Great. Well, thank you again for sharing more. It's been exciting to learn more, just scratching the surface about what you've been doing here at Lakehead University. Thank you again for your time, and to our audience. Next, we'll dive right into our live question and answer period.
Okay, so I would like to thank Jordan and all the guests for that amazing session. Moving on to our question and answers round. So please send in your questions through the chat. I think we do have some time left, wherein we'll be able to answer all of your questions. And also a huge shout out to Paula, who has been answering some of your questions behind the screen. Thank you so much for that. While the questions are popping up, if you have any questions or want to connect with us further, feel free to just reach out to us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under @Lakehead International. I see there's a question that has popped up. For our master's and post-graduation courses, we do have limited scholarships. So although it's not gonna fund your entire tuitions, it is just gonna be a add-on or a bonus to your, to help you fund your scholarship or fund your tuition. So I would say you should have your own means to fulfill your tuition fees. We do not offer any kind of fully funded scholarships. I think all the questions have been answered. Thank you so much for joining for the session today, and we really hope to see you at one of our next live webinars. And even more, we'd love to welcome you on campus as a Lakehead student someday. So thank you again for joining, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. You can connect with us on social media. You can find us at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We hope to see you in our next live webinar. Bye for now.